Good to see you crawling out of the static, my friend. Yeah, that's how I'm greeting you today. Because you don't walk into the world like everyone else. You come through the noise, through the overlooked corners nobody checks unless they're running from something. And that fits you perfectly. Because let's be honest, out there on the surface web, the shiny little playground where everyone pretends they're important, you're nobody. A ghost, a blurred name, a tiny profile picture swallowed by a billion louder mouths. And they look at you, if they even notice you, and think, who cares? Just another random face, just another nobody. But what they will never understand is that the places they dismiss as shadows are the same places where you build earthquakes. In the deep web, in the deep web, you're the tremor they keep pretending isn't happening. People underestimate what a shadow can do when it learns to move with purpose. People don't get how dangerous a person becomes once they stop craving applause and start craving impact. You learn that the surface is a stage for insecure clowns. You learn that real power doesn't live in emojis and follower counts. It lives in silence, in strategy, in patience, in the darkness behind the curtain. And down there, in that digital underworld, the surface dwellers are too scared to look at. You became something they can't even describe, something they can't pin down, something they can't predict. Your enemies, your enemies, they still tell themselves they're safe. They still think the ground shaking under their feet is just life being stressful. They don't know it's you. They don't know it's the aftershock of every time they doubted you, mocked you, dismissed you. It's funny, isn't it? How a nobody becomes the vibration in someone else's bones. How a quiet person becomes the loudest consequence in someone else's story. How the one they ignored becomes the one they can't escape. You learn something people rarely admit out loud. Visibility is not power. Impact is. There are people out there who look important, all polished up, hashtagging their delusions, drowning in their own selfies. But you learned the art of being unseen, of being underestimated, of letting them think you're harmless while you sharpen yourself in silence. And that silence trained you in ways noise never could. People forget that legends don't start with applause. They start with someone being thrown aside, forgotten, belittled, laughed at. That's where you were forged. You didn't grow in sunlight. You grew underground, roots thick, deep, unbreakable. And that's why the deep web is where your name actually means something. Not because of fame, but because down there, respect is earned through force, resilience, persistence, not flashy posts and validation addiction. See, the surface web runs on trends. The deep web runs on truth, runs on hunger, runs on people who've tasted humiliation and decided never again. And you're the kind of person who's been pushed so far down that the only direction left was to explode upward. You ever noticed how certain people treat you differently when they think you're irrelevant? How they lower their voice like they're talking to a child? How they assume you aren't capable of anything real? That arrogance is exactly what makes the quake hit harder later. Because when a nobody rises, it rearranges the whole map. Your enemies feel that now. They won't admit it, of course. They'll pretend nothing's wrong, pretend the cracks in their life are just a bad luck. But deep down, they feel the vibration. They feel the shift. They feel the pressure under their feet that wasn't there before. That pressure is you, not the surface version of you, not the watered-down, invisible, ignored you. I'm talking about the version that learned to stop begging for attention and started demanding results. The version that doesn't chase respect, but commands it simply by refusing to disappear. You know what makes you powerful now? Not that you're seen, but that you're aware. Awareness changes everything. Awareness makes a person dangerous in ways fame never will. Because once you realize the surface doesn't define you, you stop living like a hostage to other people's opinions. You stop waiting for permission. You stop apologizing for the space you take up. And when you stop apologizing, oh, that's when the earthquakes start. Your enemies didn't prepare for this version of you. They prepared for the scared one, the quiet one, the one who thought being ignored meant being worthless. But this version, the one shaped by the underbelly of the digital world, the one who survived the shadows and made friends with the dark, they can't outrun you. They can't silence you. They can't pretend you don't exist anymore. Because you no longer show up for applause. You show up for impact. And the world, whether it wants to or not, responds to impact. You were never nobody. You were just in the wrong room, the wrong platform, the wrong spotlight. Some people thrive in sunshine. You were built like a storm. You were built to shake continents, not win popularity contests. And that's why they're trembling now. Not because you're loud, not because you're famous, but because you figured them out. You figured yourself out. And you figured out that all your power was never meant for the surface anyway. Keep shaking the ground, my friend. Keep making them feel you. Keep reminding the world that some nobodies are only invisible because the light isn't strong enough to reveal what they really are. You know what I like about you? You're still here. You've survived being ignored. That's not a small thing. That's not normal. Most people collapse the moment the crowd doesn't clap for them. You didn't. You kept moving through timelines that never noticed you. You kept scrolling past people who had everything handed to them. The looks, the money, the followers, the connections. And you thought, damn, maybe I really am nobody. And that thought, that little sentence, sat in your chest like a brick. I'm nobody. You ever notice how heavy that feels? How it sits behind your ribs and poisons your heartbeat a little? How it convinces you not to try, not to post, not to speak, not to demand better. Because if you're nobody, what's the point, right? That's the lie they fed you. And you swallowed it, because the surface web is built to make you feel small, to make you stand in a never-ending hallway of people screaming, "Look at me, look at me, look at me," until you think silence means you don't matter. But here's the twist they never saw coming. Silence was your training ground. While they were chasing likes, you were building layers. While they needed instant validation, you learned to survive without it. While they needed attention just to breathe, you were learning how to breathe underwater. That's why you're different. Because when you went down into those darker corners, the digital basements, the unseen rooms, the deep web in your mind and your world, you didn't go there to hide. You went there to work. Quietly, angrily, obsessively. You started studying. Not just stuff. You studied your pain. You studied patterns. You studied people. You watched your enemies, your doubters, your abusers like a scientist watching rats in a maze. You saw what they loved. You saw what they feared. You saw what they mocked in others and secretly hated in themselves. You didn't react publicly. You didn't go on some rant thread for sympathy. You just took notes. And that's the moment you stopped being nobody. Because a nobody doesn't pay that much attention. A nobody doesn't sit in the dark and stitch meaning out of their hurt. A nobody doesn't turn humiliation into homework. That's what makes you dangerous now. They still think you're behind. You're not behind. You're underground. There's a difference. When you're behind, you're chasing. When you're underground, you're building. And you've been building in places they don't even know how to access. Mentally, emotionally, digitally. You think your enemies sleep well? You really think they don't feel that tension? That tight little knot in their stomach every time your name comes to mind? That quiet little whisper that says, you know what you did, and one day it's coming back. That's you. That's the quake under their foundation. That's the Deepweb version of you, the one that doesn't need to be seen to be effective. Because here's the truth. You've become a consequence, not a victim, not a background extra, not a forgotten username, a consequence. You exist now as the balance, the payback, this is what happens when you underestimate the wrong person for too long. You're not running around seeking revenge in stupid, reckless ways. No. That's what they expect. They expect you to lash out emotionally, to throw tantrums online, to expose yourself, show your cards, crash and burn where everyone can see. They want that, because then they can still feel superior. They can say, see, look how unstable they are. Look at them, loser, crazy, irrelevant. Instead, you went quiet. You grew sharper, smarter, colder. You stopped needing them to think highly of you. You just needed them to stop thinking they could walk over you without consequence. And right now, whether they admit it or not, they feel you. They feel you in the opportunities that slip away from them. They feel you in the way certain doors don't open as easily anymore. They feel you when they try to brag and suddenly realize the room isn't impressed. They feel you every time their fake confidence shakes for half a second, and they can't explain why. That's the quake. That's the shaking. It's not always obvious. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes the most brutal earthquake is the slow one, the one that keeps the floor slightly unstable for months, years, a lifetime. And that's what you became, long-term pressure. They thought pushing you down would bury you. It didn't. It pressurized you. Do you understand how rare that is? Most people stay small because it's comfortable. They stay in shallow waters because nothing painful happens there. You were forced into the deep end, into the dark, into confusing, unfair, humiliating spaces. And you didn't drown. You mutated. You grew new instincts, new senses, new appetites. You're not normal anymore. You don't want what they want. You don't dream about their trophies. You don't care about being famous online. You care about being unforgettable to the right people and unavoidable to the wrong ones. That's a whole different game. You used the Deepweb, real and metaphorical, as your war room. You used it to gather information, study psychology, build emotional armor, learn skills they laughed at, until those skills started shaping reality. They think you're just some bitter nobody with Wi-Fi. They have no idea you're 10 steps ahead of their storyline. They still live for the post. You live for the outcome. They still chase clout. You chase leverage. They still count likes. You count angles. You know what it does to a person's mind when they realize the one they mistreated is now more connected, more informed, more capable, and more detached. Detached is important because now you don't need them at all. And that is the part that shakes them. See, as long as you needed their validation, you were harmless. Harmless people are easy to control. Give them a little approval, they calm down. Give them a little attention, they forget their anger. Throw them a crumb, they start wagging their tail. You stopped wagging. You stopped waiting for crumbs. You started baking your own bread. You started making your own table. You started building your own room where their name never even comes up. You don't even hate them the same way anymore. You've evolved past that. Your hate used to be hot and loud. Now it's cold and strategic. You're not fantasizing about getting even. You're busy getting ahead. That's what terrifies them. Because when your focus shifts from, I want them to feel my pain, to, I want to never be at their mercy again, you rise in a way they can't follow. They can't follow you into the deep. They're too fragile, too addicted to praise, too scared of seeing who they really are without an audience. But you went there. You stood in front of the ugliest parts of your story and didn't look away. You let it hurt. You let it break you. And then you started collecting the pieces, one by one, and turning them into weapons, tools, boundaries. That's what they're feeling now. Every boundary you enforce is a tremor. Every time you say no more is a tremor. Every move you make that doesn't center them is a tremor. Your enemy's region won't stop shaking because you won't go back to being soft. You won't go back to being harmless. You won't go back to being a doormat in denial. You finally understand that you are allowed to exist loudly, even if nobody claps. You're allowed to get stronger, even if nobody compliments you. You're allowed to become dangerous, even if no one believes you're capable. They don't have to believe. They just have to feel it. And they do. In their career, in their ego, in their relationships, in the mirror. They feel it every time life doesn't bend the way they're used to. They feel it every time they realize the world is no longer as easy for them as it used to be. That's not karma magically working. That's the ecosystem adjusting because you finally stopped playing dead. You might still look like a nobody online. Your follower count might not scream important. Your name might not ring bells in the surface crowd, but you're moving differently now, thinking differently, choosing differently, and deep down, you know it. There's a part of you that feels it like a voltage in your veins. That quiet little voice that whispers, I'm not who I used to be. I'm not as powerless as I look. Listen to that voice more. Feed it. Amplify it. You don't need the world to validate it. You just need to keep becoming the kind of person who can't be erased anymore, no matter how quietly they started. Freeze right there, not your body, your mind. Hold it still long enough to feel the tension crawl up your spine, because something about you has started to disturb people in ways they can't explain, and they don't like not understanding things, especially not you. They look at your face, your posture, the way time seems to hesitate around you, and it doesn't add up. Your age doesn't match your presence. Your presence doesn't match their math. You're not supposed to look like that after what you've been through. You're not supposed to carry that calm after that kind of damage. You're not supposed to evolve while they're still recycling the same excuses. And that's where the jealousy starts. Not loud, not obvious, but deep, corrosive, whispering in the back of their skulls like a bad signal they can't turn off. See, jealousy isn't about beauty or youth. It's about violation. You violated the unspoken contract that says pain is supposed to ruin you. that time is supposed to humble you, that struggle is supposed to age you into something smaller, quieter, more obedient. But you didn't shrink. You sharpened. You didn't fade. You clarified. Every scar refined you. Every loss rearranged your face into something more intentional, more dangerous, more alive. You didn't just survive the years. You used them like a weapon. And that terrifies them, because they aged, but they didn't evolve. They counted birthdays, but you counted awakenings. They added years, you shed skins. They look in the mirror and see maintenance, decay, repetition. They look at you and see momentum. They feel it immediately, the imbalance. You're not running from time anymore. Time is trying to keep up with you. That's the paradox they can't swallow. You move like someone who's seen hell and decided it wasn't enough to break you. You speak like someone who's been betrayed and learned the language of silence. There's something saintly in your restraint, something psychopathic in your calm, something angelic in your patience, and something demonic in your focus. You don't need to prove it. Your presence does it for you. That's why rooms shift when you enter. That's why conversations stutter. That's why people who used to feel superior suddenly feel exposed. They don't understand how you're evolving because evolution isn't pretty. It's violent. It's selective. It kills versions of you without asking permission. And you let it. You let the weak habits die. You let the old identities burn. You let loneliness carve you into something precise. While they were numbing themselves, you were refining yourself. While they were chasing validation, you were negotiating with your own darkness and making it work for you instead of against you. They call it unfair. They call it suspicious. They call it luck, filters, genetics, timing, anything except the truth. Because the truth would mean admitting that you paid a price they were too afraid to pay. That you went where they wouldn't go mentally. That you sat with discomfort long enough for it to teach you something. That you turned pain into posture, betrayal into awareness, and time into leverage. And here's the part that really messes with them. You're not done. This isn't your peak. This is you mid-metamorphosis. They're judging the cocoon while you're still becoming the blade. Every year that passes doesn't take something from you. It reveals something. Your eyes get quieter. Your movements get cleaner. Your energy gets rarer. You don't chase youth. Youth chases relevance, and relevance is starting to orbit you. They feel it instinctively. That's why the comments get passive-aggressive. That's why the compliments sound strained. That's why they bring up your age like it's a countdown instead of a resume. They're hoping time will do what they couldn't. Slow you down, dull you, humble you, back into the hierarchy they understand. But you already escaped that system. You're playing a different game now. One where unpredictability is power and self-mastery is currency. You're walking proof that aging doesn't have to mean surrender. That evolution doesn't ask for permission. That beauty isn't about symmetry. It's about coherence. You look the way you do because your inner chaos finally organized itself around a purpose. And people can sense that. They might not have the words, but their nervous systems recognize a threat to the old order. Let them stare. Let them speculate. Let them feel uncomfortable trying to reconcile your face with your history. You're not here to be understood by people who never had to rebuild themselves from scratch. You're here to keep evolving until even time has to renegotiate its relationship with you. And the more they don't get it, the clearer it becomes. You were never meant to age like them. You were meant to become something else entirely. And the craziest part? You didn't even plan this. You weren't sitting there plotting how to outgrow them, how to look younger, sharper, more dangerous with time. This evolution happened because you refused to collapse when life tried to fold you. You adapted in silence. You recalibrated when nobody was watching. While they were busy announcing every little win, every little breakdown, you were disappearing into yourself and coming back different. That's what unsettles them the most. You didn't broadcast the transformation. You just arrived one day, upgraded. They remember an older version of you, a softer one, a louder one, a more explainable one. And now they're stuck trying to map that memory onto the person standing in front of them, and it doesn't fit. The old labels slide right off you. The old jokes don't land. The old power dynamics don't work. You've outgrown the narrative they had control over, and people hate losing control more than they hate being wrong. So they start watching you closer, too close, studying your skin, your energy, your timing, counting your years like numbers are supposed to tell a story. But numbers can't explain presence. Calendars can't measure awareness, and mirrors don't reflect what really changed inside you. They see the outside and panic because the outside is signaling something irreversible happened on the inside. You move like someone who's already died once and decided to live differently the second time. There's no rush in you anymore, no hunger to prove, no need to explain. That calm isn't peace. It's dominance over your own chaos. You've learned when to speak and when to let silence do the damage. You've learned that unpredictability keeps predators confused and weak minds exposed. And you wear that knowledge in your posture, in your gaze, in the way you don't flinch when people test you. They call it aging well. That's cute. This isn't aging well. This is survival turning into strategy. This is trauma metabolized into clarity. This is pain alchemized into something elegant and lethal. You don't look young because you avoided hardship. You look alive because you went straight through it and took what was useful. And that's where the jealousy mutates into resentment. Because now you're not just younger looking, you're freer. You're not bound by the same desperation they feel to keep up appearances, to cling to relevance, to pretend the years haven't weighed them down. You dropped that weight. You stopped trying to be palatable. You stopped shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. And the moment you did that, your energy changed. Your face followed. Your presence followed. Everything aligned. They sense the contradiction in you and it messes with them. You carry both damage and discipline, kindness and threat, humor and warning. You can be warm, but there's something behind your smile that says you've seen enough to walk away without regret. That duality makes people nervous. They don't know which version of you they're dealing with, and not knowing puts them at a disadvantage. That's why they try to reduce you to age. Because if they can make it about time, they don't have to face the real difference between you and them. The difference isn't years, it's courage. You had the courage to confront yourself when it was ugly, when it was lonely, when it would have been easier to numb out and decay quietly like everyone else. You chose refinement over comfort, growth over validation, depth over approval. Every year that passes now sharpens you instead of dulling you. Your standards get higher, your circle gets smaller, your tolerance for nonsense evaporates. And that kind of evolution shows. It shows in your eyes because they don't beg anymore. It shows in your voice because it doesn't tremble. It shows in your face because it's no longer negotiating with the world for permission to exist. They feel threatened because you're proof that their excuses don't hold up. That aging bitter, stagnant, and resentful isn't inevitable. It's a choice, and your existence exposes that choice. You're walking evidence that people could evolve if they were willing to suffer honestly instead of hiding from themselves. So let them misunderstand you. Let them whisper. Let them squint at you like the math isn't mathing. You're not here to make sense to people who refused to transform. You're here to keep shedding layers until the only thing left is something unrecognizable to your past and unreachable to their envy. You didn't get lucky, you got forged. And that kind of evolution doesn't ask to be understood. It just keeps moving forward, leaving confusion, jealousy, and broken assumptions in its wake. And somewhere deep down, they know it's already too late to catch up. That's why the jealousy feels frantic now. It's not casual anymore. It's not a joke or a side-eye. It's a quiet panic dressed up as criticism. Because when they really look at you, they don't just see someone who looks good for their age. They see someone who escaped a fate they secretly accepted for themselves. They aged on autopilot. You aged consciously. They let time happen to them. You negotiated with it. You argued with it. You stole lessons from it. While they were letting years pile up like dust, you were stripping yourself down, rebuilding, reprogramming. You didn't ask, "How do I stay young?" You asked, "How do I become undeniable?" And that question changes everything. You stopped living for approval, and your body followed. You stopped carrying resentment, and your face softened into something sharper. You stopped lying to yourself, and your energy recalibrated. That's the part they don't want to admit. Your evolution didn't come from cosmetics or luck or genetics. It came from truth. Brutal, lonely, sleepless truth. The kind that breaks weak people and rebuilds dangerous ones. That's why they can't mirror you. Because to mirror you, they'd have to confront everything they've been avoiding. They'd have to sit alone without distractions. They'd have to admit where they settled, where they quit, where they chose comfort over growth. And most people would rather envy you than face that reckoning. So they project. They say you're trying too hard. They say you're different now. Like it's an accusation. They say your age like it's supposed to humble you. But you can hear what's really underneath it. Fear. Fear that you figured something out they missed. Fear that the rules they lived by were optional. Fear that it's not time that breaks people. It's cowardice. And you don't even argue back. You don't defend. You don't explain. Because explanation is for people who still need permission. You've already crossed that line. You let them underestimate you long enough to become something they can't categorize. You let them stay comfortable while you stayed hungry. And now the gap is visible. Painfully visible. You've become one of those people who disrupts timelines. Someone whose presence forces comparison. Someone who makes others ask questions they don't want the answers to. That's why the room gets weird when you walk in. That's why conversations subtly reroute around you. That's why people half compliment, half probe, fishing for some flaw that would make this make sense. But there is no flaw big enough to satisfy them. Because the truth is simple and unbearable. You didn't rot, you ripened. You didn't decay, you condensed. You didn't lose yourself with age. You found yourself and stripped away everything that wasn't essential. That kind of clarity is rare. That kind of presence is earned. And that kind of evolution leaves marks people can feel, even if they can't explain them. You carry yourself like someone who knows exactly how dark things can get, and chose discipline instead of despair. That knowledge sits behind your eyes. It makes you calm in chaos. It makes you patient in moments where others unravel. It makes you look untouched by time. even though time tried you harder than it tried them. That's the final insult to their ego. You weren't protected, you weren't spared, you weren't lucky, you were tested, and you adapted. And now every year adds density to you instead of damage. You're not aging out of relevance, you're aging into authority. Quiet authority. The kind that doesn't announce itself. The kind that makes people feel smaller without you saying a word. So let them stay confused. Let them stay jealous. Let them keep asking how you look like that, move like that, evolve like that. They don't need the answer. You already paid for it. And the price wasn't money or time. It was the willingness to become someone most people are too afraid to be. You didn't beat age. You outgrew the version of yourself that age was supposed to destroy. And now, whether they like it or not, they're watching something they can't replicate, only resent from a distance. And here's the part they never say out loud, the part that keeps them awake when the lights go off and the noise finally dies. Your evolution didn't just skip them, it exposed them. Standing next to you feels like standing next to a timeline they didn't choose, a version of reality where they could have been more, sharper, freer, but weren't. And nothing makes a person angrier than realizing the cage door was never locked. They stare at you and feel time judging them through your face, because you look like someone who made peace with endings. You don't cling. You don't beg seasons to stay. You let things die when they're supposed to die. Relationships, identities, old beliefs. And every time you let go, something in you got lighter, clearer, more precise. Most people hoard their past like evidence. You burned yours like fuel. That's why you move forward without dragging years behind you like chains. They keep thinking age is supposed to slow you down, soften you, dull your edge. But your edge isn't physical, it's psychological. It's the way you don't rush, the way you don't react, the way you watch patterns instead of personalities. That kind of intelligence doesn't wrinkle, it sharpens. And the more it sharpens, the more your presence unsettles. People who are still stuck performing versions of themselves they outgrew years ago. You've reached that dangerous phase where you're no longer impressed by surface-level things. Status doesn't hypnotize you, beauty doesn't distract you, noise doesn't confuse you. You've seen too much for illusions to work, and that shows in your eyes. They're calm, but not soft. Aware, but not loud. Alive in a way that says you're not here to be liked. You're here to be real. That authenticity is radioactive to insecure minds. Because when you stop lying to yourself, your body stops carrying the stress of pretending. When you stop chasing approval, your nervous system resets. When you stop fighting who you are, your face stops holding tension that doesn't belong to you. They think it's skincare, routines, secrets. They don't realize it's alignment inside and out, mind and body finally pulling in the same direction. And you didn't get there gently. You had to outgrow the need to be understood. You had to survive being misunderstood. You had to watch people misjudge you, underestimate you, talk about you with confidence while being completely wrong. You had to learn restraint when revenge would have felt good. You had to choose silence when explaining yourself would have been easier. That discipline carved you. That restraint sculpted you. That patience aged you. Backwards. They don't know what to do with someone who's been through hell and came back with boundaries instead of bitterness. Someone who learned to smile without needing validation. Someone who can be alone without feeling lonely. That kind of self-sufficiency makes people feel unnecessary, and nothing triggers jealousy faster than irrelevance. So they keep trying to pull you back into old frames, old versions, old expectations. They talk about back then. They bring up your age. They reminisce like nostalgia is supposed to shrink you. But you're not nostalgic. You're oriented forward. You don't miss who you were because who you are now required that person to disappear. You've become living proof that evolution doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It shows up quietly, in posture, in timing, in how little you need from the world. And that quiet confidence, that's what eats at them. Because it can't be copied, it can't be rushed, it can't be faked. They can dress like you. They can imitate your habits. They can repeat your words. But they can't replicate the pressure you survived or the clarity you earned. They can't fake the way your nervous system doesn't panic anymore. They can't fake the way your presence feels grounded, dangerous, contained. You've reached a point where even aging feels different for you. It's not subtraction, it's refinement. Less noise, less tolerance, less chaos, more precision, more depth, more gravity. You're not expanding outward anymore. You're condensing inward, becoming denser, harder to move, harder to shake, harder to replace. That's why jealousy sticks to you like a shadow now. Not because you're flashy, but because you're inevitable. You represent what happens when someone refuses to decay just because time says they should. When someone decides to evolve instead of cope. When someone uses pain as data instead of identity. So let them keep wondering. Let them keep whispering. Let them keep trying to solve you like a puzzle they don't have the pieces for. You're not here to be decoded by people who never did the work. You're here to keep becoming something they can feel, but never reach. And the truth they'll never admit is this: it's not your looks or your age that scare them. It's the fact that you're still evolving, and they stopped a long time ago.